Welcome back, everybody. There is still a battle between both campaigns as to which side has won some states, including those that have already, in fact, been called.
The president now challenging which votes should not be counted. NewsNation correspondent Joe Khalil has the latest from Washington, D.C. And Joe, I know you've been talking to lawmakers, and as things stand now, they have to plan for two different possible scenarios.
Yeah, Marta, they do. It's really interesting, because we woke up this morning ready to go to the TV, see more results coming in. I'm sure a lot of people at home excited to see that. And we think about lawmakers a lot of times in a vacuum. They're people, too, and they're also rushing to the TV, eyes glued to the results, ears to the radio, trying to see just who is going to be the next commander-in-chief of the most powerful nation in the world, certainly somebody they will have to deal with. Americans woke up Wednesday morning unsure about which presidential candidate was ahead. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin says she expected her state to be close.
I'm a lifelong Wisconsinite, and I have seen close presidential races repeatedly in this state.
The Associated Press called Wisconsin for Biden. The Trump campaign has requested a recount there and filed lawsuits in Michigan and Pennsylvania, aiming to stop the vote count after Election Day.
He apparently thinks that he gets to decide who the next president is, not the voters of the United States of America.
Senator Baldwin says stopping the vote count early would disenfranchise voters of both parties.
I just think it's disrespectful to people who, during a pandemic, made extra efforts to participate.
It has to be earned, and that's why every vote has to be counted.
Democrat Debbie Stabenow, senator from the battleground state of Michigan, says the integrity of our elections is what makes American democracy work. She says that means count all the votes.
That's what separates us from those around the world that don't have a great democracy.
What the president wants to see is that every legal vote gets counted, and that's what we're walking through right now. House
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy defended the Trump campaign's legal efforts. McCarthy says the president doesn't want anyone casting votes after Election Day, which so far isn't happening.
We want to make sure it's legal, it's fair, and that every legal vote is counted.
We are allowed to observe the ballots.
Trump attorney Pam Bondi says the campaign's lawsuits raise questions about the counting process in Pennsylvania.
Clearly, when you see how big the room is, you cannot see every ballot.
Bondi says the campaign, too, is focused on the integrity of the election. And now we should mention that because we're about balance and not bias, and so in the sake of accuracy here, the lawmakers that we talked to, all from different states, California, Wisconsin, and Michigan, none of them had reported anything that they had heard about any impropriety or anything nefarious going on at polls. I know that there may be some things out there on social media that people may be seeing. You may hear from your friends or something like that. The people who are putting on these elections and the lawmakers from those states tell us that they haven't seen anything that would make them worried about anything like that happening. Joe.
Joe, while we have you, let's talk a little bit about the Senate races across the country. The Republicans had a taller hill to climb yesterday, defending 23 seats in the Senate versus 12 for Democrats. I'm wondering, in your virtual travels today, Democrats were optimistic, to say the least, that they were going to flip the Senate, and we still have a few races outstanding. We don't know what's going to happen in Georgia and elsewhere. But what did you hear from senators about the way these races have played out?
It was absolutely a disappointing night for Democrats, and I think you can say that unequivocally. They thought, just again, given the map and 23 races, 12 being potentially toss-ups, that they had a good chance to flip some of those 12. Well, they flipped 2. That was not good enough to flip the balance of power, certainly not what they expected. And so, yeah, they had a pretty disappointing night. You heard Kevin McCarthy today sort of take a victory lap, because even in the House, there was talk about Democrats expanding their majority there. Well, Republicans picked up about 7 seats in the House. So there may be some polling issues there, but Democrats certainly were disappointed. Republicans were relieved, to say the least, that they had a really strong showing last night, Joe.